All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of Gar Capital. It is Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. Glad to be with you this morning and every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and take a look at the futures this morning. But before we begin, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10,000 subs. That starts with you hitting one little button called subscribe just once, and then we get to subscribe. So that's perfect. It's free, and why not? Rock and roll. Dow futures up 44 points, Nasdaq up 52. The S&P is up around 20 points. The Russell's up 0.33%. If you thought yesterday, oh, this would have been a great time to short because of Powell, you're getting chopped at this moment. I saw a big volume push on some SPY calls. I believe it was the 500 SPY puts. The 500 puts. I think they had like 80,000 for next week. But I'm glad that we stayed on point with the team. You know, right now it's just very choppy. We're looking for some edge. We don't have to trade every day, guys. Remember that. You know, don't try to chase things. If there was something there available to trade, I promise you, I'll do my best to get it for you. But this is nothing. This is nothing. Until we start breaking some key levels, maybe 18,000 on the Nasdaq, we get above 5135 on S&P futures, we can start talking about going long. If anything, maybe we can always fade this. Remember, I talked about it over the weekend that I expected May to get the pullback. But are we getting a little early? Mind you, this big drop here, guys, that was the headline from the Middle East between Iran and Israel. So nothing fundamentally has changed in terms of the market. We had some decent earnings. United had good earnings, good demand. So, and that's very cyclical, industrial. So again, it's not like this is Nvidia talking. That'll be coming in, I think, next month. But for the time being, at least fundamentally in the market, other than yield spiking up, the VIX was down yesterday. This was with Powell, and we ended flat. So could we be carving out some kind of a base, or are we willing to fade this little bit of a bounce? I think right now there's not much to do. You're pretty much just stuck in a neutral place until we get some kind of breaks. Cash is still a position. Crude futures are down 1.36%, $84 a barrel, $2.77. For gasoline futures, down 1.78%. Gold futures are down 0.30%. Silver's up, but we traded that last week. Copper up 1.19%. Euro dollar holding on. We're still holding on to euro dollar long 106.35. It's holding the 100-week moving average. Dollar yen pulled back about 10 pips, 154.62. 138.10 on the dollar Canadian dollar. That's down about 18 pips. Pound dollar is up 24 pips. And then off to crypto land. Bitcoin 62,595. 2 days, 8 hours until the Bitcoin halving event, which is on Friday. Do we get a push? Do we get a pullback? Do we just stay where we are? That remains to be seen. Ethereum futures are above 3,000. So that's where we are this morning. Dollar is down about 0.3%. And the volatility index is down 3.15% at 1782. Remember, 20. When you're above 20, there's some fear out there, but we're not quite there yet. But yes, if in terms of, fear and greed, we're starting to be right in that fear, slightly little nervous gauge in terms of the CNN money poll. Um, let's take a look at the S&P 500 futures. You can see it right here. Beautiful trend line breakdown. We're below the 50-day. Now the question remains, do we get above that? 51.56. So as of right now, until we break 50.64 to the downside, it seems like we're just in neutral. We're not going forward. We're not going back. We're just chopping around. And that is not ideal for traders. We want to see some kind of move that we can take advantage of. Remember that green here? That was our support, 17,936. Get us above 8,000. We can talk about maybe targeting the 100-day. NVIDIA did well yesterday. AMD did well. A couple of names were down. Apple had pulled back a little bit as well. So it's been tough sledding, even with buying time. But this is where we are currently. We still need a little more action before we do anything. Tesla. I had a question this morning on Basic regarding Tesla. I believe someone was asking me that we're below 160. What do we do now? And again, we're right now in this green zone. And I said right around 150, 153. That's still that kind of trend line down. But I really want to emphasize this. Here's the gap fill right at 146.17. Now, where we are currently, 156.11, we do also have another gap to fill right at 161.20. So let me remove this drawing, and that gives us a little bit more of a visualization of what we're looking for. So Tesla, you got a gap to fill here, 161.35. If we can get there and somewhat stall, we can take a look at the 150 puts. Granted, they report earnings soon. Let's get you the actual Tesla earnings date. I believe it's next week. So before we start doing anything on Tesla, we need to make sure that we're on the right spot. April 23rd, 2024, after the bell, will be Tesla's release of their earnings. That will be, let me make sure the date. I want to say that's a Tuesday, but let's make sure. Or is that a Monday? 23rd is on a Tuesday. So next Tuesday, Tesla will be reporting earnings. And I know everyone right now wants to get in, and I get it. Maybe you want to short, maybe you want to go long. Who knows? Let's take our time, take a breath. Let's see what the price action does today. Market's not open, but futures are. And we'll take it step by step, team. And that's what I see in terms of the market. Let's answer some questions. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Level to add Baidu stock for long-term hold. Let's look at it. I'm going to go to the daily chart here. Got a gap here at 81.61. Doesn't look great. I'll tell you that much. It just doesn't look that great. So I'm just going to draw some trend lines. I also had a question through my DMs on Discord asking me, how do you draw trend lines? Like, how do you do that? And I said, just takes practice, just like anything else. You start using your eyes over time. So again, you could just look at any chart. If you've been doing this for years, you start realizing some things. Baidu is at a pretty critical juncture. Downward wedge here, we could get a breakout. If you get $10 more, maybe $12 more, 108, you're probably looking to buy there. Yes, might be an opportunity to buy Baidu on this wedge breakout, but you got to get above 109.32. Got to get above it. What's the next question here? 500 puts for next week on SPY, right? I talked about that at the top. Let's look at it. All right, in order for this to actually work, you need to break down the lows of right around 502.06. We are now at 505.42, so not quite there yet. Remember, earnings as well for Tesla next week. I believe Netflix reports on Friday, so that's going to move a little bit of NASDAQ and some S&P. 497 being the target for that gap if we get there. The problem I have is I don't want to buy SPY puts, excuse me, and then we bounce to the 50-day, which is only now $5 away. So if 497 is our target and 510 being the 50-day, we're really just in the middle, maybe up here. So if anything, you're kind of leaning up to get to 510. So not the best in terms of edge here. We're just going to have to wait. Palantir add Disney calls. Let's see here. Palantir. I'm going to go to the daily. You can see support is holding at 2162. I'm still waiting for this gap to fill at 1783. I don't know if we'll get it, but again, it's a very, very large earnings gap. That's what I'm looking for. You can see how many alerts I have because I love trading this name. Disney holding on to support, 114.24, right at the 50-day. So if this does hold, and so far it is, if we can get above 115, I have no problem doing the 117 or the 120 calls. They won't report earnings for a while from now, that towards the end of May. Let's see. Starbucks. Oh, Starbucks has been taking a hit. And I love Starbucks. In terms of support, here it is. 82.78. And you're trading at 86 now. You can see that round trip support. Let's see the weekly chart. Yep, that's it. 82.78. That has to hold. So if you start getting to around 82 and you're interested in taking a little nibble on some Starbucks, maybe adding some shares or buying some shares, that would probably be the money target you're looking for. Now, granted, that's only $3 away. So depending on how many shares you buy, not terrible, but again, 52-week lows. This is kind of the time where you start looking at stocks that have been beaten down just due to headlines and looking for some deals, looking for at least some kind of value out there. Does Starbucks have value? The only issue with Starbucks is China. So again, China's not exactly at their peak in terms of economics. You could see that Nike was taking a hit. Again, anything that's near China proxy, Apple, Tesla, they haven't been doing well. Once China gets their act together, I believe Starbucks will bounce back. But as of right now, not the best, especially with all this union talk and unionization votes. Again, that's labor costs. So I do love Starbucks personally in terms of like the coffee. The stock right now, again, 83. I have my alert there. Would be interesting to take a look at. I might just make that call and say that might be the buy zone that we're looking for. Current thoughts on the state of Tesla. If we're talking about the company or the stock itself, I think in terms of the company, um, Elon Musk was asking about his billions of dollars in bonuses earned or stock options. I think that's absolutely ridiculous given the unwarranted attention that Tesla has been given. Him selling or putting up $44 billion in collateral to buy a social media platform. That money could have been used for Tesla, in my opinion. Building that $30,000 automobile to combat the BYD China car. But if I was a major shareholder at that board meeting, I would ask for Tesla for Elon Musk to resign, like today. I would say he needs to resign, and we need a full-time CEO, not a part-time CEO. Someone who's going to put the emphasis on Tesla, the company, not Elon, the person, and kind of pushing whatever he wants to push in terms of his SpaceX. And again, SpaceX is cool. I get it, but it's just so much for one person. Now, unless he's some kind of cyborg, fine. But I think Tesla shareholders deserve better that have been dealing with this kind of up and down. You know, Tesla is profitable, yes, but there's quite a premium on those shares in terms of EPS. You're paying a lot of money for this growth story, and there's alternatives out there now. Forget EV. I mean, look at AI and look at chips. Nvidia's getting the flows, and right now it's kind of sucking that oxygen away from the Tesla shareholder boost that we had back in 2000, 2001, where that was the big growth driver. EVs were the future, and I still believe it is. But I believe that Tesla deserves a full-time CEO, one who's going to be focused. But with that being said, here is the actual chart, and you can see a downward trend here. And again, where we are is really just within that confines of that downward channel, 150, 150. And the only issue I have is that will that gap fill? And honestly, that might fill during earnings. But we have priced in a lot of bad news, layoffs, softening sales, deliveries, you name it. Even headlines in terms of, I think there was some recall stuff. So been going through the ringer. Keep in mind, guys, in 2022, everyone hated Metaverse and Mark Zuckerberg as well, and that had a nice turnaround story. So I believe in Tesla as a company. Their patents are very valuable, but I always say there's a couple of ways to view Tesla. One, as a technology company that makes automobiles, or two, an automobile company that makes technology. I look at it as a technology company that makes automobiles because of their patents, their superchargers, all that great stuff. But is it priced in right now for what it's worth? I think at this moment, until we get that gap fill, you're just caution. You're just waiting to see what that earnings and that guidance looks like. If I was running Tesla today and knowing that things are soft, you better keep those forecasts down, keep the bar down, take your lumps, and hope for the best. If Elon actually started buying some shares of Tesla, that would show a lot of confidence. We will see. But that's what I think in terms of Tesla. Do you think the Bitcoin halving is the buy the hype, sell the news type of event? It's been sell the hype at this point, really because of the Middle Eastern conflict. Keep in mind that Bitcoin and risk assets pulled back. So it kind of pulled back even regards of with what's coming in terms of Bitcoin halving. Now, the Bitcoin halving is a very simple premise. It's lowering the amount of stock or shares or supply. And at current demand, you would think we would double in price. Now, things are not as easy as that. Could we get some selling post Bitcoin halving? Absolutely. The best thing I can tell you is dollar cost average on Bitcoin over time and leave it the hell alone. Bitcoin is very, very hard to trade. We have traded BITO this whole year for the first quarter, done very well, but this last BITO trade, not the best. So it comes with a little bit of sacrifice. If you're a Bitcoin investor, a crypto investor, keep it simple. Dollar cost average, little by little over time, if you like, and then you average a better price. Just timing is so difficult because it is a 24/7 market and it's very volatile. If cash is a position, what percentage of the total portfolio do you recommend to keep as cash? And that depends on the person. That depends on what kind of account it is. And it also depends on your time horizon. So, again, the assumption is that you have, let's say, 100K portfolio. Depends on what you're trying to do with this money. If you're just trying to grow it as quick as you can, you're deploying as much capital as you can. If you're someone that's trying to just collect dividends and try to buy when there's some deals, then you want to keep maybe 10 to 15% cash. And even that's pretty high allocation. The person investing, it's all personalized. There's some people that either live off their brokerage account or they just put money into it like their 401k supplement, saving for their children, maybe a beach house, whatever their goal is. So that again, that just depends on the person. Really just does. There's some people who say, I sleep better at night when I have cash and savings. And that's totally cool. And there's some that are, I only feel good at night when I'm 100% stock invested. Everyone is different. The rule of thumb, I guess, the most common among financial planners is right around 10 to 15% cash for those to have opportunities to buy on dips. That's pretty much it. Amazon and Apple, please. Amazon is still holding up this wedge breakout. Just got to hold above 180. Actually, 182 is the 20. So around 180, we just never got to 190. Got pretty close, but looks like it's just kind of pulling back a little bit. We are up this morning. I still like Amazon to 190. I do. Let's see if we get some volume. Apple still holding on to some support here. This was all that AI headline, remember? All pullback retrace. Again, this action is very similar. Again, see this flag, pullback. See this flag, pullback. Are we setting up for that push that we had in October? Just get me to 177, guys, and we can go all the way up to 195. But we need some great news. Fingers crossed. Let's see if we get it. DraftKings. DraftKings was price upgraded yesterday by Goldman Sachs. DraftKings, I'm hoping for a miracle here. Got to get above 46, like today, please. 46.82 would be amazing, but we need to break out of this downward wedge and hit 50. It's going to be a lot to ask for, but that's exactly what we're looking for. And it is up pre-market. Fingers crossed. XOM, energy companies, pullback. Let's see it. So we went ahead and broke out. And are we retesting the breakout somewhat? Somewhat, yeah. See if this breakout is right around 119.17. We are down slightly pre-market on XOM. And again, XOM is a company that's just going to be around forever, pays a dividend, as stable as one can get. But again, technically speaking, we might just be holding on for a consolidation at this point. And that's going to be based on this, guys. Crude oil futures at 84.09. AMD. Getting that push. Look at this downward trend on the hourly. I know, short term. But if this breaks out, target is 170. They may not be a bad play here. I believe AMD reports next week or in 2 weeks. Let's see it. AMD reports May 7th. Okay, I'm sorry. May 7th is when they report. So we can maybe trade this if we can break out of a maybe 165 or so. And then you can target 170. If we break above 170, we got into 185. So AMD looking very nice. Very similar to that Apple 1 hour move that we caught with Masterclass. So AMD is going to be on my radar. Let's see. J&J. Johnson & Johnson. Oh, keep Apple here. And J&J is just one of those companies, pretty much nothing. Just chop. You're just owning this really because of the yield. And it's pretty stable. And then you're probably using your shares to leverage. Right now, is it at, 3-year lows? But not exactly a huge market mover. It's just pretty much dead money. Doesn't really do much. If you're looking in the scope of growth, there is no growth in Johnson & Johnson. It's just what it is. If you're just someone that wants to get paid a dividend, they just increased it again, 63 years in a row. Boring. That's what J&J is. So if you own it, you just own it. Trading it is a waste of your time. It's just so slow and there's no demand. It's kind of like buying white on white Air Force Ones and trying to flip it on StockX. Yeah, man, everyone's got it. Ain't a big, it's not special, let's just say. There we are. Thanks, Carlos. You are a legend. No, man, you're a legend for following. Thank you guys so much. The fact that you guys even care what I have to say about anything is very, very humbling. So I love to do this and speak to y'all every day. Here to help in any way I can. I hope I see you guys on the server. It's scrolling on the bottom. The live market blog on our website, www.guard.capital. Would love to have you there. Ask any questions. It's a great community, and I hope to see you guys there. Have a great rest of your morning, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Cheers all.